Hello, my name is Reiko Osoroshi. On this channel, I narrate Japanese ghost stories. Yamanote Mountain Monster. A week ago, I went on a drive with my daughter. We took a leisurely drive along an ordinary mountain road, stopped at a drive-in midway for a meal. And then I decided to take an unpaved side road to spook my daughter. My daughter's protests only made it more amusing, and we continued down the road. Suddenly, the engine abruptly stopped. We were deep in the mountains with no cell phone signal and no knowledge about cars. My daughter and I were at a loss. It would take hours to walk back to the drive-in where we had eaten. So, we resigned ourselves to spending the night in the car and decided to walk to the drive-in the next morning. As we tried to endure the cold inside the car, night fell. It's true that there's no sound in the mountains at night. Occasionally, the wind rustled through the trees. As time passed, my daughter, who was in the passenger seat, fell asleep. Thinking I might as well sleep too, I closed my eyes, and then I heard something. Even now, recalling it gives me the creeps. It was a voice or sound that I couldn't quite distinguish, saying, Tenken Su Metsu, over and over again. At first, I tried to convince myself that I had misheard and kept my eyes shut. But the sound seemed to be getting closer, and I couldn't stand it anymore, so I opened my eyes. There, I saw something white and flat moving erratically toward the car. It looked like the silhouette of Jamila from Ultraman, with no head, and its legs seemed to merge into one. It was as if that thing was swinging its arms wildly while shaking its whole body as it approached. Terrified beyond words, I wanted to scream, but for some reason, at that moment, I was more concerned about not waking up my daughter. I couldn't scream or run away. The thing kept getting closer to the car, but strangely, it seemed to pass by the side of the car. All the while, I could hear the repeated chant, Ten Su Metsu. As the sound faded away and I looked back, I couldn't see the figure of that thing anymore. I felt relieved. I turned to face my daughter, and that thing was outside the passenger window. Up close, despite thinking it had no head, it had a face around its chest area. It was grinning with a horrifying expression I never want to remember. I was beyond scared. Anger surged within me as it approached. I yelled, "You bastard!" The moment I yelled, it disappeared, and my daughter jumped awake. Thinking my shouting had startled her awake, I tried to apologize to her, but she was muttering something. Harada 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 harada. Realizing something was wrong, I tried to start the engine as a last resort. Miraculously, it worked. We hastily turned around and retraced our path. My daughter was still muttering. Desperate to get to a place with people, I sped the car. Finally, the lights of the town appeared, and I felt relieved. However, my daughter's muttering had changed from harada harada to Ten Su Metsu. Her face seemed to change as well, no longer resembling my daughter's. With my daughter in this state, I couldn't take her home. In a panic, I ran to a nearby temple. Even though it was the middle of the night, the living quarters of the temple priest were lit. I rang the doorbell, dragging my daughter along. The person who came out, presumably the priest, took one look at my daughter and exclaimed, "What have you done?" He looked at me with reproach. When I mentioned encountering something strange in the mountains, he had a disappointed look on his face and started reciting sutras while hitting my daughter's shoulders and back. He offered to let us stay the night, and concerned for my daughter, I agreed. According to the priest, my daughter had been possessed by a Yamanote spirit. If she remained in this state even after 49 days, she might never return to normal. The priest assured me he would do his best to expel the Yamanote. I called my wife and explained the situation to her and the priest. According to the priest, if we had gone back home, my wife might have been possessed by the Yamanote as well. Yamanote spirits tend to possess women, and until the Yamanote is completely removed, my wife wouldn't be able to see our daughter. A week has passed, and my daughter is still with the priest. I visit her every day, but she doesn't seem like herself anymore. She grins unnaturally and gazes at me with an inexplicable expression. I desperately hope she can return to her former self soon. Never go to the mountains for mere amusement. How was it? Is there a mountain near your house? If there is, there might be some around your area as well. If you have any other stories you would like me to introduce or any questions about the stories, please leave a comment. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Thank you, and stay tuned for the next episode.